Hey friends, welcome back. I started out with an aloe vera plant that had a bazillion babies, and I separated them all out, and the ones that survived I am transplanting into a bigger pot. We started by boiling some water, pouring it over the soil. This helps to kill any eggs for any kind of bug in your soil. And so that will help so that you don't get a new infestation of any bugs. And then I just let it cool. And as it was cooling, I got ready for planting the garden seeds. So I recycle or repurpose a ton of stuff. This container here has holes in the bottom. And so I took the top and cut it off. And then that's what I will use to sit underneath it so that I can later on do bottom watering. Or if I have help watering, and it's a little too much, it can run out and be caught in the lid. Now my soil is cooled, it's been a couple hours. And so I do though put a coffee filter in the bottom of my containers just so that the dirt is less likely to fall through the holes. Plus, I have found that helps the roots. If I leave them in too long, the roots don't get through the holes in the bottom, and it makes it easier for pulling everything out when it's time to plant it in the garden. Oh, I'm digging out the seeds there. We have a ton of things we're going to start today. So I'm just now kind of getting used to doing a voiceover. So I want to welcome everybody back to Little Things Farms. And the video today is going to be about starting some seeds. I'm filling I don't know what came in that, probably little cookies or something. But it's a square container that doesn't have any divots or anything in the bottom, like it's not a muffin holder or a cupcake holder. And then, so I think today we're going to start cauliflower, broccoli, Brussels sprouts, onions, and some tomatoes. But I do have to tell you that I ended up running out of video time on my phone and totally did not even realize that it stopped recording. So see, today we're going to do onions. And I'm putting them in this square container so that I can plant them pretty heavy. And then once they start growing, I'll be able to divide them out into like their own cup or their own container. This year, I believe we're planting 4 different kinds of onions. We had Walla Walla, a yellow onion, green like bunching onions, and then those scallions right there. So, my soil, I kind of mix it myself. I bought a new bag of perlite offline, which is not something I normally do. And, not perlite, styrofoam little pieces to help with drainage. And some of them were really, really big. So I kind of picked through them if they're super big. They're almost like packing peanut size. And I kind of been putting them off to the side, and then I'll use some scissors to chop them up smaller. And then it's some cocoa coir, all rehydrated, and a bag of just traditional potting soil from Walmart, Myers, something like that, big box store. And as you can see, I'm just sprinkling the seeds in there, the whole packet. There were a whole lot in there, like maybe 15 or 20. And then, like I said, I like to repurpose stuff. So in this Ziploc bag, my husband cut a bunch of like cottage cheese containers and sour cream containers into little strips. And then I write what is going to be in that particular container on it, kind of like you would write on like a plastic stick, that comes when you buy them. But that way I know what I'm planting. Because this year I'm going to try really hard to know exactly what I'm planting in the garden. So I've created a spreadsheet, and it's grouped together by like items. So on my spreadsheet, it tells me, like under my onions, it says that I got the Walla Walla onions. And then in parentheses, it says back to roots. I'll have to look that up. And I'll insert a picture so that you guys can see better what the seeds are. But on my spreadsheet, that's what I put on there. And then in another column, I put how many packets I have of it, because some of my seeds are like 3 and 4 years old. So I've decided this year I'm just getting out all of the seeds that I have stored over the years, because I want to start fresh in 2025. So we're going to be starting a ton of plants, and then some of them I'll probably give away or plant extra so that I can use them when I'm out feeding on Thursdays, or give the produce to people that need them. See, I did the same thing with that container. I cut the lid off, and it's going to be the water tray catcher on the bottom. And then my husband drilled some holes in the bottom of it, I think like 4 or 5. And then we'll put the coffee filter in the bottom, especially with my onions, because it'll like slide out of the container, and then it'll be easier in a larger container to pull the little starts out. That container is bigger, so I opted to use 2 to make sure all of the bottom was covered. So you can see here that I reuse a lot of my bottom trays for a couple of years. That the brown is from dirt, or I do have rusty and kind of limey water. So I just keep reusing them, and then if they get cracked or something like that, I'll throw them out and then replace them every so often. But once again, I'm just putting the coffee filter in the bottom. This one is a muffin-like pan. So it's got like a spot where your muffin goes, and then there's those stick-up spots. So I cut it so that I could put it around the holder spots. I hope that makes sense. I don't know how to explain it. But that way, the onions will still do perfectly fine in there, because they're only going to grow for a couple of weeks in that. And then I'll transplant them into something bigger so that they can continue to grow until I put them out in the garden. I have like 4 packages of the bunching onions. I believe I bought them on clearance at like Dollar Tree last year. So they were like, I don't even remember, 50% off of the 4 for $1. So they were super dirt cheap. And so I put them in the smaller containers and then added them to a larger bottom watering tray, labeled them once again, each container, in case later on I decide to separate the containers out and put them on a different watering tray. You know, who knows what could happen in my very crazy house. But now we have these 2, we started 2 envelopes of bunching onions, and then I will start more onions in like 2 to 3 weeks. That way when it's coming time to harvest my onions, I'll have a whole bunch ready, and then I'll have a bit of a lull, and then I'll have a bunch that I'll be able to harvest again. So I'm not needing to harvest every single onion right away. Next, we're moving on to Brussels sprouts. We got some green Brussels sprouts, and then I found this package of purple Brussels sprouts. I found these on Amazon. I looked all over to try to find them somewhere else to purchase last year. Maybe it was 2 years ago. I don't remember now. So I don't know. I'm a little skeptical. They're purple, but a lot of the writing is in Korean of some sort, Japanese to me. I don't know. But we'll see if they make purple. For the Brussels sprouts, I used like a 2x2 square plastic container. I believe years ago maybe there was juice in it, and so I cut them down to be about 2 inches tall, and then sweet hubby put some holes in the bottom. I chose not to put the coffee filters in them because I'll have to up pot these pretty soon, but because I'm going to put probably 3 to 4 seeds in each little container so that I can make sure I'm using up the most of my seeds. And then once again in 2 to 4 weeks, I will start another round to actually finish off planting all of the Brussels sprout